Welcome everybody to Bases and Brews, episode 25. A quarter of a way to 100 episodes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I am Ben. He is Brandon. This is our weekly podcast where we talk about baseball and beer. We stream the show live on twitch.tv/Bases and Brews every Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Come and drop us a follow over there. Come watch us live, and you also will get a post show at the end. If you can't catch us live every week, you can go to watch a replay of the podcast on our YouTube or listen on podcast services pretty much anywhere except Apple Podcast. Just search for the channel Bases and Brews. Also, go drop us a follow on Twitter at Bases Brews to get some baseball news and updates about the podcast. And how are you doing tonight, man?
Doing pretty good. How you feeling? Back in the saddle.
I am definitely better than last week.
That's good. That's good.
If you see me scramble for the mute button, that's me hitting the mute button and coughing, probably. Yeah. What do you got to drink this week?
Okay, so I teased you a little bit. Apparently my wife, like 2 weeks ago, found the best beer even better.
Oh God!
It is Pabst Blue Ribbon Extra.
Oh my God!
Dude, it's 6.5% Pabst Blue Ribbon. That's insane.
I can't with you.
It's the best beer ever, and now it's 6.5%. Let's go.
Yeah.
It actually tastes a little bit stronger. Like it's not as light. But you still wouldn't like it. But it's better.
No. It's too. I can't.
Best
beer. I have Stone Brewery is pretty popular one. I think it's nationwide.
Yeah.
It's called the Fml Daisy Double Ipa. And this can is pretty cool. It's got this like devil. It's glaring and it's kind of fuzzy, but got this cool like demon skull down here. And then the FML stands for Fear Movie Lions. Why? I don't know. Also, you're never going to be able to see this because it's too reflective.
Is it like a white?
This hole in the top of the like metal pop top is the same skull as this down here. It's like a cutout in that instead of just having a normal hole up there.
We really got to get you an autofocus lens.
I have one, but I like my regular focus.
Fair.
But yeah, all right. So let's get into a little bit of news. First off, start off with Miguel Cabrera. Or I'm sorry, not news. Hot and cold.
Yeah, hot and cold first.
But this is kind of news. And that is Miguel Cabrera hit his 500th career home run. He is the 28th player in baseball history to hit 500. And there's also, I'm trying to remember. So he's like I want to say it's the 5th foreign-born player to hit 500.
I didn't hear that. I did hear he was 28th, which to me is insane.
Yeah, I would have thought there was way more.
Maybe not way more, but 28 just still seems a little low.
But yeah, he's like the 5th or 6th foreign player to hit 500. And he's the first player from Venezuela ever to do it.
Do you see it? It was a nice little oppo flick. It was.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he does. Like, for someone who hits that many home runs, like, he is not a Deadpool hitter in any way.
It was nice.
Like, he's just a really good hitter. But yeah, so that obviously puts him on the hot list. Not having a great year, but like the dude's almost 40. I'm pretty sure. Like,
I think the only one at his age performing actually decent this year is Nelson Cruz. Maybe that's about it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Nelson Cruz is actually having a decent year.
Yeah, Miguel Cabrera is like 38 and a half, roughly.
Okay, Nelson Cruz is like 41 or something like that.
Yeah, I'll look it up really quick, but Nelson Cruz, yeah, just turned 41.
Yeah.
But then we get to the bad side of baseball. The Baltimore Orioles lost 19 straight games before yesterday when they finally won a game, and they had to like come back in like the 9th inning or 8th inning and to win it.
Well, did you see the game yesterday? That wasn't their comeback. It was the game after. They won like 13 to like 2 or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it was 2 days ago they had the comeback?
Okay. Because that was the first time I think all season they had double-digit like points in wins back-to-back all year.
Yeah, that's not great.
But they are still the worst team in baseball. The Diamondbacks are probably loving life right now, not being the worst team.
Actually, nope, not true.
Wait, did the Diamondbacks fall back?
Okay, the Diamondbacks have 4 more wins. But I'm sorry. The Marlins have the worst record in baseball.
Oh.
Wait, no.
Oh my God.
It's the Orioles, sorry.
Okay, I was going to say last week it was the Orioles, so unless something crazy happened.
414 win percentage for the Marlins and 317 for the Orioles. I thought it was 314.
Okay.
So yeah, 317 win percentage, 40 and 86. That's odd.
It hurt to say that means in the last week they've only gotten 2 wins.
Well, yeah, there was the last 2 days.
They were 38 and whatever last Friday.
In the last 3 weeks, they've only gotten 2 wins because they're 19 and 2 over the last 21 games.
Well, I was thinking about it. If they had gone to like 20 plus games, this would be the first time I could remember where 2 separate teams had like 20 plus losing streaks in the same year. I can't remember that happening to 2 different teams in the same year.
The longest losing streak, not counting teams in like the 1800s,
was the Diamondbacks, right?
No, is the Philadelphia Phillies in 1961 had 23 game losing streak.
I thought the not the Dodgers. I thought the Diamondbacks had 24 earlier this year.
It's possible this is not an updated list. So you could be right.
I'm pretty sure the Dodgers
you definitely are.
The Diamondbacks.
You
I'm pretty sure
are because they're not even on this list, and they would definitely be on it. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they hold that list at like 24, and with them at 20 or at 19, I was like, fuck, if they get to like 22, 23 again, that'd be 2 teams setting like the longest losing streak in the same year.
There was 3 teams have 20. I'm sorry. 2 teams have more. The Louisville Colonels in 1889 lost 26 straight, and the Cleveland Spiders in 1899 lost 24 straight.
See, look at it. Cleveland's still on that worst teams list, even those years ago.
Dude, you can say what you want, but the Spiders logo would have been dope if they would have switched the name to that. But,
not too surprising. Yeah. Also, not too surprising. The Giants are still holding on to that number 1 spot.
Yeah. I was about to look that up, but yeah, they have
like a 2-game lead, I think, over everybody else.
2.5 over the Dodgers, who have the second best record in baseball.
And they play the Dodgers next week.
It's not impossible that our preseason prediction of having 2 teams with 100 wins in that division, it comes true. But it won't be the 2 teams we thought.
I was going to say, but neither one of us predicted the Giants being one of those 2.
There's what, like, we're at 127, so there's like 35 more games. They got to get 17 wins. The Dodgers need 19.
Yeah, the Giants are going to get there. As long as they don't like fall apart, they're going to get there.
The Giants have to go like 500. The Dodgers have to go like 5 games over 500.
Yeah.
So they'll probably both hit it, which is nuts. But
next week's series is going to be nuts
is
because
it Dodgers Giants?
I think that series, if things stay the way they are, that series is going to decide the division.
It could. We're getting down to the end of the year here.
Well, because if the Giants, I was thinking about this last night, because if the Giants win, if they sweep or win 2 of 3, they're up 4 games going into like the last 2 weeks of the season. There's no way they lose 4 games in the last week or 2 of the season. I mean, I guess it's possible, but like the chances are so slim with the way they've been playing.
Yeah.
But if they lose, that puts the Dodgers up. Like if they get swept by the Dodgers, then
you know
that's going to be tough because I don't think they'll get the ground back.
No. As much as I hate to do this, I also have to add another team to our hot list, and that is the New York Yankees. Because holy shit, did we not predict that right?
Bro, I talked about it a little bit last week. Like what we were both like clowning on them at the trade deadline, and like what the fuck? Why are they loading up? I don't get it. And they've just gone on an absolute tear.
Currently on a 12-game win streak. They're still 4 games back of the Rays. But they're 3 games back. No, they're 3 games up in the wild card.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're playing the A's right now, and the A's lost last night. If the A's had swept the series, which is a 4-game set, and the Yankees are on fire, but if they could have pulled that off, they would have flipped spots with the Yankees and been in the playoffs for sure. Well, not for sure, but they would have been in one of those wild card spots.
So right now, the Yankees are 5.5 games ahead of the A's, and for the top wild card.
I feel like they were 4. I thought I said 3 going into the series, but maybe I was wrong.
Maybe. The Red Sox have the second wild card spot. They're 2.5 games ahead of the A's. So, wild card's gonna be fun, but it looks like that might be one of the only divisions that's gonna be up for grabs. That and the NL West.
The NL West. But the NL West is a 2-horse race.
Right. And whichever team doesn't win it is going to make the playoffs for the wild card.
Yeah. Because basically it was crazy because it was going to be the 3 NL West teams in the playoffs for a while until the Padres have just like literally fallen apart. Yeah. They could be on our cold list with how bad they've been.
They could be. The Mets could absolutely be.
They went on a tear and then they just fell apart again.
Mm-hmm. That division is horrible. Like, the Braves are winning that division at 68 and 58. And they have a 5.5 game lead in that division.
That's brutal. Now imagine if the Giants were in that. They'd be up by like 20 games.
They'd be up by 15 games over the Braves.
That's insane.
The Phillies were winning that division like 2 weeks ago. Now they're 5.5 out. Jeez. And right before the Phillies were winning that division, the Mets were winning that division, and they're 7.5 out.
Yeah, they all kind of just fell apart.
The Mets are 5 games under 500. Yeah. The Mets, who like went on a spending tear this offseason, like they weren't on the same, money spending as like the Padres, but they spent some money.
Yeah, that's true. They did spend.
There's a lot. I've been seeing a ton of things about getting that manager fired. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but
I can't either.
But yeah. And then we'll do one more hot here, and that is Chris Sale, Chris Sale just returned to being a starting pitcher for the Padres. Or no, I'm sorry, the Dodgers, right?
No, it's the Padres, I think.
Is it the Padres?
I'm pretty sure it's the Padres.
Now I'm second guessing.
I was gonna say I'll look it up.
Okay, this is saying he's still in Boston.
Is he?
I thought he went to one of the those teams. Or am I thinking of David Price?
Well, yeah, he definitely. David Price is with the Dodgers.
Okay. For some reason, I always
Oh,
get
yeah.
those confused.
Apparently, he is still over there.
I always get David Price and Chris Sale mixed up because they throw exactly the same, and they're both like tall, lanky ass lefties.
6'6", 183.
Yeah. Like, that is scrawny.
Yeah.
Like, 180 as a 6'6" person is scrawny.
Yeah, I'm like 5'9", 5'10". I'm pretty short. And, like, I would kill to be 180.
Right. Yeah, I'm nowhere near that. But anyway, Chris Sale, he is the second player in the history of baseball to throw 3 immaculate innings in their career, which is 9 pitches, 9 strikes, all strikeouts.
That to
3
me is
strikeouts.
crazy.
That's an insane feat. Like, it's luck, but I mean, don't get me wrong, you have to be good to make guys swing and miss that much, but but like, yeah, he's the second player in the history of baseball to do it. Sandy Koufax being the other one, who is one of the best pitchers in the history of the game.
Yeah, right.
So I think, I mean, Chris Sale is probably a first ballot Hall of Famer, realistically.
Probably. Let me see.
His stats are real good.
302 career ERA, 112.73 win loss. He's got 12 saves.
I did not know that.
I mean, his career WAR is like
Apparently he pitched out of the
46.2,
yeah,
which is pretty
apparently
fucking
he
good.
pitched out of the bullpen in his first 2 years in the league. I didn't know that.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think
I watched him
overall games is a little low, but his ERA is good. So you can't, like, I don't know.
Yeah, he destroyed the Indians. Like for years with the White Sox. Like he pitched there like 7 years, I think. But yeah, just wanted to throw him in here because that's such a cool. Immaculate innings are such a cool feat. Like it's such a unique thing, and it happens so fast because it's only 9 pitches.
Yeah.
But
no, you're not wrong. I don't know if I've ever like actually witnessed it live, an immaculate inning.
An immaculate inning. I saw one. I think Corey Kluber pitched one when he was with the Indians.
Okay. I was gonna say I just like I've seen a lot of like playbacks of them, but I don't think I've like ever actually watched one, like as it was happening.
Right. But
that's crazy though.
Yeah, and he's done it 3 times.
I wonder how many immaculate innings in MLB history have been thrown.
I don't know.
So 1, 2, 3, 8, 16, 24, 27. There's less than, I would say, 6. Well, maybe less than. There's less than 100. And it really picked up in the 1990s.
You're close. There's 101.
Oh, I just was like looking at it and I'm like, it looks like, because it was doing it by decade. I'm looking at it. So there was like one in the 1880s, none in the 1890s. 1900s, 1910s was 1. 1920s was 5. But then you get to like the 60s, and that's where you get to 8. 70s was 8.
Between 1928 and 1953, there wasn't a single one thrown. And then starting in the 80s till now is when they became more common. There's These are all the players with multiple: Lefty Grove,
Okay.
Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson, Max Scherzer, and Kevin Gausman. And then Sandy Koufax and Chris Sale both have 3. They're the only ones with 3. Those other
Okay.
guys all have 2.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's not something you think of much, like that would be much of an achievement. But when you really actually break it down, that's actually pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like most pitchers don't try to do that because throwing a ball in an 0-2 count is the smart thing to do. Like throwing a pitch in the dirt or something is a smart thing to do when you have an 0-2 count. So like a
Yeah.
lot of pitchers lose an immaculate inning because they're pitching smart. But yeah, it's just a cool feat.
Really hope
But yeah,
everything still sounds okay. My
why?
everything on my OBS just like froze.
Uh-oh.
Like our cameras are still working. And I think the chat's still working. Everything's working. Okay. No, it just fixed itself. That was weird.
Yeah, I just pulled it up and yeah, everything's working fine.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so let's get into a little weekly news. Did you watch this at all? The Little League Classic.
So I didn't watch it, no.
Did you see the jerseys?
I did, and I actually really dug them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you didn't, but I actually kind of liked them.
I actually do.
I saw highlights from the game. I didn't watch much on the game, but I did like
It was
the
a pretty
jerseys.
good game, but yeah, the jerseys were really cool. Actually, I like them. I like the Little League, like the little logo up in the corner, and then the big stripe across the chest saying the Angels said West and the Indians said Great Lakes.
Yeah, I dug it. I liked
Did
it a
you
lot.
see some of the stuff going on? Like there was some video of like Mike Trout interacting with the little leaguers, and like all these kids are just like can't even speak to the guy. They're like
Well,
staring in
I
awe at this
mean,
dude.
like think of like your favorite player when you were like 8,
Well,
and
no,
if you just like were hanging out playing baseball with them.
I totally
Like
understand.
I'd probably be in the
that
same
it's like,
spot.
I don't know. I love shit like that because like that is who's gonna like carry the game into the future. Like there's so many major league players who played in the Little League World Series. Like that's a huge
we
pool of talent.
we had a team from like 10 minutes 15 minutes from my house, the little league, or 20 minutes maybe, went to the Little League World Series and made it, I think, to the finals and lost.
This year?
No, this was like
Oh, okay.
I want to say 10-15 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, it's probably something like that. But dude, they got free shit for like 5 or 6 years everywhere they went.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
They got free
it's
food,
cool.
free shit whenever they went into like, especially like small businesses around here. It was insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Little League World Series. I don't really usually watch it, but like I like watching the stories that come out of it and stuff.
Bro, like the funniest intro of all time, it was in the Little League World Series like a year or two ago. With the what was his name? It was like Big Mike or something like that, and I hit dingers. Oh,
I didn't see that.
bro, I'm gonna look this up real quick, and I'm gonna send it to you, because if you haven't
Okay.
seen it, it's great. It was like his like intro, and he was like, "This is who I am," and I hit dingers, and it's like this little fat kid.
Did you see the ceremonial first pitch for the Little League Classic game? The
No.
Indians Angels game. So they had like a representative from each Little League team that made it to the World Series, and they lined them up from center field and had them like 10 feet apart, and then they did like a relay between each player until the last player who like actually pitched it to the plate to whoever the player, like MLB player, was behind the plate.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty cool. While we're talking about it, let's talk about a little bit of Little League World Series
Okay,
news,
okay.
just because.
Hold on, hold on.
You found it?
Yeah, I found it. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can get it on here. Oh, okay. So let me just move this to over here. Oh, it's too big. Damn. The video is a little too big on how I have it cropped. But you should be able to hear it at the very least.
All right. I'm unmuting it.
Hi, my name's Alfred D'Elia. At home, they call me Big Al, and I hit dingers.
Alfred D'Elia, they call me Big Al, and I hit dingers.
That's pretty good. I like it.
Oh, that's so good.
That is funny. I do like switch to the actual Little League World Series. I loved the broadcast for the Little League World Series Classic with the Major League players, because they always, you know, how in the Little League World Series they show like when a kid comes up to bat, and they're like, you know, here's his favorite movie or whatever, and they do that for the Major League players and stuff. It's pretty, I don't know, I like it.
That's pretty good. I dig that.
They basically try to make it a Little League broadcast with like Major League talent. It's fun.
So, since we're talking about broadcasters real quick, I watched a game on the MLB Network last night, and it was the most interesting broadcast I have seen on like national TV. Okay. It was Pedro Martinez, CC Sabathia, Chris, I think it was Chris Taylor, former outfielder for I think the Phillies, and a talking head, a guy that used to work for Bleacher Report, and it was like a moderator almost, basically. And they called it like, what do they call it? Like Clubhouse. And it was like the four of their cams at the bottom. And they're in the studio together, but like it had like four cams. And it was basically them just like shooting the shit while the Padres game was going on.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that.
So I kind of dug the idea because it's more like a podcast version of like watching a game, and you get to listen to
did that for the Field of Dreams game. The same four guys, I'm pretty sure.
But the part that fucked me up is anybody who does podcasts or anything live, you're very conscious of like how the cameras are facing and everything. They took the cameras of each individual person and they didn't have them on the screen in the order that they were sitting. So one person would, so like, imagine this, someone on this side of the screen is talking and everybody on this side is looking that way. Because they're looking at them, but the cameras aren't oriented in the way they're sitting. It was like mind fucking me for like an hour.
Yeah, that's not great.
I was like, this is $1 million broadcast. Like, I know guys that get paid nothing that like focus harder on getting their cameras all looking the same way.
Yeah, that's not great.
But I liked the idea. It was just like it kept throwing me off watching them just look at nothing when somebody else was talking.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't pay much attention. I just saw they were doing that during the Field of Dreams game, so I didn't actually watch it. But yeah, same guys did the same thing.
Okay, yeah, I kind of dug it. Like you get to hear them talk shop.
It's a cool thing, yeah.
As opposed to, but at the same time, I feel like you lose something. Like as someone who knows the game of baseball, I don't need a play-by-play as long as I can watch it.
Yeah,
but for someone
it's
who
not meant to be in place of the broadcast, it's just like.
But that was the only broadcast for that game.
Really?
Yeah, I looked. There was no broadcast, and I live in California, and it was 2 California teams. I could not find another broadcast for that game. It was weird.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
It might have been the YouTube game. I think that's on Thursdays.
Oh, I totally forgot. It might have been.
And the only reason I say that is because the only reason they did it for the Field of Dreams game is because they couldn't show the game. And if it's the YouTube game of the week, then that would make sense as to why they couldn't do it either.
That would 100% like make sense. I just didn't think about it. I didn't think to look on YouTube because I was just sitting out in the front room.
Yeah.
But I was just like, it makes no sense for this to be the only broadcast of this game, and it's just like them talking shop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird, but
I dug it. I like that.
yeah, it's fun. It's different. And like you said, it is good for people who like know the game and don't need to be, have a play-by-play telling them what's happening. Like, but anyway. So yeah, we'll finish up the news here. We got a few more things. Going into the Little League World Series. So the year of the no-hitter continues. There's been 2 no-hitters thrown in the Little League World Series already.
That's crazy.
The first one was thrown by a kid named Eli Jones. Don't know where he's from. Didn't really. I want to say he's from Washington, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it. But it's the first like solo no hitter, like start to finish, same pitcher, since 1980. And he also the game was 1-0, the final score, and he had the only RBI as a hitter too. So he knocked in the only run of the game and pitched a no-hitter. So that was pretty cool.
And I told you Ohtani's overrated. There's more people like that.
But the best part about that one was, so he finishes, and like you can tell that he's like in shock kind of, and he's just kind of wanders off the mound. And the other team's head coach like runs out to the center of the field and like shakes his hand and is like, "That's amazing. You'll never forget this moment," and stuff like that. And like, just like pure sportsmanship, which is, I feel like what the Little League World Series is all about. And like I'm pretty sure there's video of like the coach that coach who congratulated the other team's pitcher, like going up to his team and being like, you got beat today, like he was better than us, go congratulate him because he deserves it and stuff like that. So that stuff's always great. Love seeing videos like that.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
The other no-hitter was pitched by a kid named Gavin Weir, who, this is insanity.
So, I was just about to say, have you looked at his whole stats? Because he is unreal right now.
So he pitched a combined no-hitter earlier in like the qualifiers for the Little League World Series. He also pitched a complete game no-hitter, which, to clarify here, these are little kids, so they're on a pitch count. I think they're only allowed to throw like 70 pitches or something like that in a 6-inning game. 6 innings? 5 innings? 6 innings.
It's 6 innings, Little League.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like, I think it's 70 pitches is the pitch limit. So like for both these guys, pitched a complete game in under 70 pitches. Also impressive. Even though, I mean, even being little kids, like still impressive.
It's a Greg Maddux complete game. Come on, man.
Right. So this kid's 4th no-hitter this year. And he has allowed 1 hit in his last 8 games pitching. And he's struck out 114 of the last 132 batters he faced. Like, what?
No earned runs. This kid's unreal.
Like, that's insane. It's nuts. It's one of the craziest like stat lines I've ever seen in any level of baseball.
Yeah. If he keeps pitching that well as he progresses and actually grows into his body, like you will see him in the big leagues in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think these kids are 12.
They're no older than 13.
13 is the cap.
Well, it's 12 is the cap, but I think if your birthday falls at a certain time, there's potential for you to be 13.
Yeah.
So you're not, for the Little League World Series, no one is older than 13.
So then 10 to 15 years. 10 to 12 years seeing a guy in the majors out of years.
If he keeps pitching like that, you're looking at closer to the 10.
Right. Closer to 9 or 8.
Yeah, right. But they're comparing his motion a lot to Chris Sale, who we just talked about a little bit ago.
I watched the highlight of like his last few pitches or last inning of the game or whatever, And yeah, very similar. Like got that really long, like wide arm angle, and similar. I mean, obviously not the same height, but similar kind of build. Like
Yeah, the taller,
he's already
lankier
tall
kind of
for
kid.
his age, and he's kind of lanky. Which I mean, like, isn't that uncommon in a 12 or 13-year-old? But yeah,
I just, when I saw his stats, I saw a tweet like a couple days ago, and I was just like, oh
that's
my.
where I got all that off of.
I was like, oh my god, this kid is nuts.
I think it was the official like MLB Twitter tweeted it out.
I mean, hell.
Which is, dude, could you imagine that as like a 12 or 13-year-old to have the official MLB Twitter tweet out your stats?
Can you imagine having
so cool.
those stats at the height of competition?
Okay.
Like,
I mean, true.
Like, just looking back, just be like, when you're done, just being like, fuck, I just did that to people.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Nuts. I love watching little leaguers go nuts.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Yeah, who knows? Maybe he hurts his arm next year and he never really plays baseball again. But at least now, he can say he was the best for his age at what he did.
I mistakenly looked at the comments, and that was a big mistake.
Oh no.
There was about 60% of the comments were like, oh yeah, they're teaching kids to use sticky stuff already and cheating. And I'm like, dude, they're little kids. Come on.
Yeah,
and then the other 40% were like, yep, this dude's going to blow out his arm and need Tommy John surgery at like 16. And I'm like, well, I mean, that's possible, but and he'll be good to go by the time he's 17 or 18.
I was going to say, everyone talks about Tommy John surgery like it's fucking 1980. Like,
yeah, it's getting more and more, like, you can recover in like a year now.
There are people getting Tommy John surgery as preemptive treatments nowadays.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Like, before they were even, like, fucked up, they're like going, no, I'll just get it now so that I don't have to deal with it later.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense. It works. It's proven to work, so. Excuse me. All right, so sort of the last news article here is Yadia Molina, long time Cardinals catcher. He signed a 1 year. Okay, it was a weird series of events. I don't know how closely you followed this.
I didn't follow it closely, but I saw that he did get his extension.
So they announced on Twitter that he signed a 1 year, $10 million deal through next year. And everyone's like, okay. He'll probably just do, 1 year contracts until he decides to retire. And
Makes
then
sense.
like an hour later, 2 hours later, he came out and was like, yeah, next year's going to be my last year.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it was like, wait, why didn't you just announce these things together? Like, that you signed a 1 year deal for your last season as a Cardinal. Like,
maybe he originally wasn't planning on it and then like kind of went back and talked to the wife or whatever and was like, no, since I'm on a 1 year, we'll just make it my last year. And
yeah, but yeah, he kind of came out and was like talking about how he's excited to do like a farewell tour, kind of like they did with Derek Jeter, where like everywhere he went, everybody was like, giving him shit and having fun with him and like messing with him and stuff. And,
I mean, no disrespect, but I mean, does anybody hold Yachty on the same level as Jeter, though?
I think players might.
Because, like, when Jeter retired, that was, like, the end of an era for everybody, for fans, for, like...
Okay, but I think that's part of the fact that he's a Yankee, and he had the recognition, as opposed to the Cardinals that haven't been relevant in 7-8 years, like...
Ichiro.
All right, that's fair. Even Ichiro, like, all right, so Derek Jeter, like, when he retired and went on his farewell tour season, it was like every single night on SportsCenter, they talked about something happening to him. And Ichiro, like, the diehard fans and the players were all pumped, but, like, I don't feel like it was, like...
I don't know
this huge deal.
I feel like it was pretty big when Ichiro finally retired.
Really? When he actually retired, yes. But like his last season, I feel like wasn't as like amped up. And
maybe not. But I would
either
put
way,
Molina though on like par with like Ichiro. That's why
Yeah.
I would compare him.
yeah, no, I can't really disagree.
I wouldn't necessarily put him on par with like a Jeter as far as like influence on the game. Like there is a move
No.
in baseball that people literally still to this day call the Jeter, which is that like jumping, turnaround throw.
Yeah.
Like that's like his move in baseball.
Yeah. So again, I feel like Jeter got more fan respect because he was a Yankee, because he got more public, notoriety. Like, love him or hate him, like everybody knows the Yankees players.
I
feel like casual fans don't know Cardinals players.
think you put Jeter on any team and he played the way he did with the Yankees and he gets that same recognition. Except for maybe some like super small market teams.
Maybe. I don't know. But
that's hard
way.
to tell, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be stoked for it. I'm going to try and go to a Cardinals game next year.
Yadia Molina is awesome. Like, he is a really, like, I don't know how many interviews you've heard with him or like watch videos of like him messing with people, but
I've heard a few.
He just seems like a cool ass player, like who everybody pretty much universally loves.
When he seems like a really good, like genuine guy too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm good. I'm happy for him. He's getting 10 mil. He's making more in his last year than I'll probably ever see in my life. So
Right.
I mean, good on him, man.
Yeah. No, it'll be fun to watch, but all right. So you touched on this last week, but we wanted to talk about it together, and that is the salary floor and the harder luxury tax for baseball that was proposed like 2 weeks ago now.
It was like a week and a half, I think. It was like a
Yeah.
couple days before last week's show.
Yeah. So,
I'll let you go
Yeah.
in with kind of your thoughts on this, and then I'll kind of go, since I got a chance last week to kind of say a little bit about it.
yeah. So I just wanted to pull up here. Okay. So, for anyone who didn't see it or missed last week, so basically, MLB proposed a $100 million salary floor, meaning you have to spend $100 million on your players every year, which is basically to get rid of, the huge gap between the top paying teams and the bottom paying teams. The luxury tax, I don't really feel like getting into because luxury tax is annoying, but basically you would have to pay more if you go over 210 million. So you basically are going, or I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that's right. 20% tax at 210 million. So to put that in perspective, right now there are there's 12 teams paying their players less than 100 million.
That's
So
almost half the
basically,
league.
Yeah, just under half the league. My Indians, after the trade deadline, dead last in pay in salary.
I mean, to be fair, they weren't that much higher.
No, they were like 28th or 29th. I'll say this though, dead last, second place in the division.
I mean, I guess you can't be mad at that, right?
You look at the other teams in the bottom of that list: the Orioles, the Pirates, the Marlins, the Mariners, the Royals, the Tigers, the Diamondbacks. Like, Indians are doing pretty damn good.
Right?
But yeah. So basically, just under half the league would. I don't know what the penalty would be. I don't know if there is a penalty in this proposal.
I would assume if they're not able to hold the $100 million minimum salary, they would have to sell the team to someone who could accommodate that. Would be my assumption.
See, and that's the issue is like, where do you find 12 new owners who can pay $100 million a year in salary.
Oh, they're out there.
Well, I mean, they're out there, but are they willing to pay $100 million a year in
I
salary?
feel like baseball is one of the hardest sports ownership-wise to get into.
Yeah, there's definitely
Maybe football, because football is kind of a really tight-knit group of old heads too.
True, but baseball. So baseball, you have to have, you have to be like approved by another current owner to get approval from the league. Like they have to like submit your name.
Yeah, it's a very old kind of boy system.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you said this last week. I don't see this actually happening. Like I don't see this rule ever. Like the. Now that I'm thinking about it, I take that back. I retract that statement, and the reason being, I was gonna say the Players Association and the owner group would not agree on this, and then I'm like, the owner group might not, but the players are gonna be all for this.
But the owner group won't, so they won't agree.
True, but this is from MLB, not from the Players Association making this recommendation. Usually it's the Players Association that gets that, like, has the kind of anti-new rule.
Okay.
Because it usually goes against the players.
So my thought on this is I can see how it could work. Even without having to jettison current owners. I would think you'd have to tell teams like the Indians that are literally at like 49, we'll say 49 million because it's close enough.
Yeah,
basically. That they basically would have to double their salary. So maybe you say,
more
look,
than.
Well, yeah, you would go, look, you got to put like 60 in, but we can subsidize the other 40 that you'll need to hit the 100 cap with the salary tax from some of these other teams. So it's like, if you want to go over the salary cap, that's kosher, cool. You can do what you want to do, but you know that you're helping the lower market teams essentially by giving them more money.
Yeah.
To an extent, you know what I mean? So I think there's a possibility of evening out some of that money, and I think that would be a good way to do it, but I don't know if that's the way that they plan on divvying up the money, because I think they want to do it so that the MLB gets more money in the long run.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be the case, because they'd be taking all the extra money they'd be making and giving it back to the lower end teams.
On the flip side of this, the salary or the luxury tax, the Dodgers are currently paying $267 million in salary. They're $57 million over the luxury tax, which means that they would have to pay almost what?
Wasn't it like 30% or what?
20%.
So that's like 20 million or no, 15 million.
That seems too low.
Well, if they're 50, that's basically.
I mean, I agree with you that that's what the math says, but that doesn't seem like that much.
Yeah, but you also got to. But the salary cap would be 180 million, and you'd be paying up from one. I think it said from like 180 to 210. You pay 25%. 210 to whatever. I think you pay 20%. And if that's the case, we froze. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Okay, we're back.
There we go. We're back.
So if that's the case, though, then they would be almost 100 million over.
Right.
And the first half, they'd be paying a quarter more, because you got to think it's not just a quarter of. So instead of 267, they'd be paying like almost 367.
Right.
Overall.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
So you see what I'm saying? So like the percentage lowers as you get higher, but you still have like that 180 to
paying
the 25% on that first initial bit. Then you pay 20% on the next initial bit.
Right.
And that, you know what I mean? And it keeps going from there. So essentially they'd be paying like 70 million, 80 million almost.
Something like that, yeah.
In taxes. So if you divvy that up, boom, there's your bottom 2 teams are now at 100.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure if you take the top couple teams, because, like, there's only... The top 7 teams currently right now are over what the proposed luxury tax would be. Now, 2 teams are only over by like $1.5 million, $2 million, $3 million.
Yeah.
But the top like 3 to 4 teams are all like 10 to 20 million over.
Yeah. And then the Dodgers are.
And the Dodgers are through the roof. But well, I mean, the Dodgers have 23 million in buried money. I don't know what that means.
I think it's like players you traded away that you're paying half their salary and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Or like guys like, okay, no, I know exactly what that is. It's Trevor Bauer. Because he's on paid leave, so he's not playing, but he's getting paid that much money. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I could see how it potentially, like, theoretically could work, but at the same time, like, I don't see this happening.
I don't either.
I think it'd be a good thing
for it. Yeah, you'd have much more parity in the league. Now, the other thing here is, assuming you think, or most people think that players right now are getting paid what they're worth. Where do you come up with that extra salary? Like, do you just start paying guys more than you think they're worth? Or because like, where do the Indians, like, not talking about where they get the money from, who do the Indians spend the money on? Like, I don't know that we have players you want to spend that money on right now.
Are you really gonna go there? What about all the guys they let go that they wouldn't have let go?
I'm talking currently.
Well, yeah, but they wouldn't have let them go if they had another $50 million to pay.
Well, no, I totally understand that.
But you're asking where would they go? You'd pay the people when they actually deserve to be paid instead of trading them.
But I'm saying right now.
Well,
like,
yeah,
currently on the team, like, where would we spend that money?
Well,
like,
no, you would implement this.
Free agents, but then like.
You would implement this in the off season, and then you would basically
no,
trade and draft accordingly.
Yeah, but I just like, what if? Okay, for example, what if we sign Jose Ramirez to a 9-year contract, and that's worth whatever, 18, 19, 20 million a year, whatever you want it to be. So that bumps us up, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 mil off what he's currently making. And what if no other free agents want to come to Cleveland? Like, we tried to go get free agents, but they don't want to come here. So you're going to penalize us because the players decided not to come to Cleveland? Like,
But did they not want to come there because you weren't willing to pay them what other people were, or because they legitimately didn't want? Well, but that's what I mean. Like, you're arguing from a basis of where they're at currently with a low salary. You got to think, if they doubled their salary, a lot of those guys might be willing to come. You wouldn't have let go of Francisco Lindor. There's a lot of guys you wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of these little moves that would inflate your thing considerably.
I guess, I mean, you talk about it in terms of basketball, and I guess it works there. It's pretty much the same setup. There's a salary floor, and there's a huge salary tax if you go over whatever number. So I guess it works.
Being a Warriors fan, I know about that well.
Yeah.
They had a point where the Warriors were signing guys and paying double their salary because they were that far into the luxury tax.
Yeah.
Like, they would get a guy for $9 million and they'd be paying $9 million in tax.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it works because you say, the Dodgers, for example, this offseason couldn't have gone and gotten Trevor Bauer because they couldn't afford him with the salary tax. So, like, the Indians have $60 million to spend. So here you go, Trevor Bauer.
Well, but that's what
whoever, whatever. I'm just using him as an example because he was
Max Scherzer this offseason.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Guys like that, the Dodgers at the end, if this was, say this happened at the end of this year and this was going to be the new thing, which I don't think will happen, but say it is, like, the Dodgers are going to cut mad weight, which means other teams have potential to sign big name guys to.
Will they though? I feel like so. Okay. I feel like if this were, it wouldn't go into effect in a year. Like, this would be something that gets rolled out. I feel like, first of all, because you can't go to the Dodgers and be like, hey, all these contracts that you signed that are all like in writing, guaranteed, yeah, you're screwed because of a new rule, and you got to cut all these players who you have a signed contract
Well,
with.
you don't have to cut them. You just have to be willing to pay for them.
I feel like it would have to be anybody with a current contract is grandfathered in, and then when their contract ends, that's when you start counting them off the or onto the new rules.
I don't know if you could do that though, because then everybody would go and spend as much money as their team could feasibly like handle before this took place. That way, all those contracts are grandfathered in.
Yeah, but you can't. I feel like you can't penalize a team for doing something that wasn't against the rules before.
I mean, it's a no-win
Like, it's
thing
one-
when, especially nowadays, when you get guys with 10-year contracts. Like 5 years from now, the rules could change that make that a bad decision.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily their fault, but like you can't not benefit the league because one team decided to take all these crazy long contracts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then you'd have to wait. You'd have to basically be like, okay, we're going to be doing this in 2 years. You guys are not allowed to sign anybody new. The most you can sign people to for this year is 2 years, and next year will be a 1 year. That way, all the contracts are up, but then it becomes a free for all. I don't know how you would implement it, but I think this would be a good thing to implement.
Yeah, I agree that I would like it because like, as an Indians fan, I'm sick of always being on the bottom and our owners not spending shit. But at the same time, I agree. I don't see it happening. I feel like the owners will fight way too hard against this.
Oh yeah, this would be a lot of money out of the owners' pockets.
Yeah.
On the low end and the high end. The people in the middle, it's not going to affect. Anybody...
We're good.
Yeah, anybody who's in that like 100 to 160 or 80 million threshold currently, they're going to be fine because they're in the zone already.
Right.
You're talking about, the people under, and honestly, I would knock out anybody who's within 10 million of the cap. I don't think that's an issue.
No, you go pick up one average free agent.
Like even all the way down to, what are we at? Like 22nd at the Arizona Diamondbacks at 88.5 million. I think you could pick up, 11.5 million pretty easy with one guy.
Yeah.
So I won't count those guys. If you don't count those guys, there's 8 teams that you'd have to worry about on the low end and 4 teams on the high end. Cause like you're talking the last like 5, 6, and 7 are 181 to 183.5. So you drop one guy and you're under that cap, and not even a good guy at that point. 3 or 4 million isn't like necessarily a top flight player typically.
Yeah.
That's so you're talking like the top 3 teams and maybe the bottom 5 or 6.
Well, and the other, just to play devil's advocate, the other side of this that the players might not like is there is not going to be any more 10-year, $300 million contracts because that's such a huge hit against that 180 cap that maybe teams aren't going to consider those kind of contracts anymore.
Well, I think they would
It's
definitely
gonna hit.
So I think you would see shorter contracts, but I think you'd see more money in each contract. So like instead of like a 10-year, $200 million contract where they're getting $20 million a year, you'd see like a 4-year contract, but they're getting, or 5-year contract, but they're getting like $25 million a year.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
The salary cap stuff is really tough because there's so many like different angles and stuff that you could take.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like it's so hard to change because it's so ingrained in everyone. Like, it's one of those things that people are going to fight against because it's such a big change from where we currently are, that it would be such a huge undertaking to try to change it that
That
we're
being
just gonna.
that being said, though, something does need to change because you
Yeah.
have almost a $220 million difference in payroll from the highest team and the lowest team. That is not cool.
No,
Like,
that's
it's impossible. Well, almost impossible for that bottom team to even compete.
just to put it in perspective. The Dodgers injured reserve payroll is almost the same as the Indians' whole entire payroll.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Like when you look at the number one team and the last team, like the discrepancy is so vast that there's something does need to be done.
Yeah,
Now, how you implement it, that's a little bit kind of like, I mean, you do what you can.
right. Getting to that point is the tough part for sure.
But I do think something does need to be done, and I like this idea, and hopefully they build on it and we see something like this in the future.
Yeah,
Maybe they have to
this-
lower it a little bit, but
This idea will not happen, but something coming off of this could potentially happen. Like, this is like a starting point.
yeah, this is a great starting point. Because I think 100 million is a good spot to start. I think they settle somewhere in the 80 million at the low range.
Yeah,
and
I
ma-
think. Yeah,
And maybe keep it where they're at. Maybe even go to like 200 for the high range. But even that's still a little bit big of a discrepancy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but yeah.
All right. Now that we've gotten the news and like a mini talk done,
Yeah, that could have been a whole topic on itself.
I almost was like, do we
honestly.
want to wait? But it's already old
No.
news and I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
Now we get to the fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Right. So last week we did our Field of
Well,
Dreams team.
2 weeks ago.
Right. Sorry. I was not here last week. 2 weeks ago, we did our Field of Dreams team to go along with the Field of Dreams game that was going on. And we decided to build off of that. That was like what we considered our best player at each position that we would like to see.
That were
Basically.
deceased. That was like our people we would love to see coming
that
out the
had
cornfield.
passed away. Yeah. So we decided that we wanted to do our favorite players, players that we have either seen or like seen video of or heard about that we would love to see played. So not necessarily the best players at their position or the most, well, I don't know, maybe most entertaining is a better way, but players that we would love to see at each position that could be from any time in the history of baseball.
None of my guys, except for, I would argue, one, would you even remotely consider like the best at his position? Mine are all sheer either entertainment or just I loved the person. That's all my list is.
Okay, I have 2, 3.
I mean, these guys are all good, but they're like, I think you would only argue, or at least I would only argue that one of them is the best at his position all time.
I could make an argument that 5 of my players are the best at their position.
I want you to point them out because I'm curious which ones you think. Okay.
I'll make sure I put a star.
Or maybe
Okay, I'm gonna-
maybe when you say them, I'll try and guess if that's one of the 5.
Okay.
That would be
I
even more
don't-
fun.
Some of them are like iffy. Some are, I feel like, for sure, or at least up in the top 3 to 5.
Okay, that's fair. I did go a
well-
little homer on mine.
You said you did do a closer, correct?
I did a starter and a closer.
Okay, that's what I did. All right, so let's go same as we did for the Field of Dreams. We'll go position number 1 through 9, and then we'll end it with the closer.
Okay.
All right, so you want to start?
All right, so my starting pitcher, the guy that I would love to see on the mound who you could actually you could see if you watch Mexican and I think Dominican baseball, and that is Big Sexy.
God, why?
Dude, are you kidding me? Why? Dude. Oh, he was so entertaining to watch. Did you see when he hit his home run? The one home run he hit in his whole career? It was incredible. His helmet came off. It was nuts. I
can't.
Dude, really, I loved him. Like, and he was actually a damn good pitcher. He wouldn't be anywhere
great early.
Yeah, he wouldn't be anywhere near the best.
15 years of his career, he was really good. And then the next 10 of his career, he was not.
But the fact that he pitched that long was nuts. And he's still pitching in, like, Mexican leagues. The guy's, like, 45 or something like that, still pitching in Mexican leagues.
Yeah.
It's unreal. He's literally one of my favorite pitchers all time to watch. Now, is he the best? No, I wouldn't. If I was to make my favorite, like, the best pitcher, he wouldn't be on my list of even top 10 guys, I don't think. But I loved watching him play.
Yeah. I mean, fair. All right. He was fun to watch play, though, like, ironically. Because he was such an unathletic human being.
Dude, he was so athletic. He was such an athletic fat man.
No.
Yes, he was. Bro, did you see some of the plays he made? It was nuts. He was so good. I will forever, like, he was way better than people give him credit for.
Luck.
Oh my God. How could you possibly say that? For anybody who doesn't know, Big Sexy is Bartolo Cologne. I would assume most people that are listening would know that, but just for those that maybe want to look him up, he's nuts. He won 247 games. He was 247 and 188.
Yeah, but when you pitch for like 20 plus years, 200 games isn't that good. That's only like 10 wins a year.
Bro, that's like, what, like 50 games off of 300. You'll never see someone hit 300 wins again, I don't think. There's like a couple guys that are currently pitching that might hit it, but outside of those, like, you're not going to see a young guy ever, I don't think, get there again. I know wins is kind of a antiquated stat to go by for a pitcher, but
I mean, I talked about it, I think, 2 weeks ago when we were going over pitchers, that wins are probably one of the worst stats to look at as a pitcher.
And he played in Cleveland for 6 years. How could you be mad at this?
I said he was good early in his career.
Yeah, when he was with Cleveland.
No, not just when he was with Cleveland. When he went to
he was
the
good.
Angels, he was pretty good.
He was pretty good with the Mets. Okay, maybe not as good as I thought. He had like one good year with the Mets. I don't know. I just loved watching him pitch, to be completely honest.
You just liked him because he was a fat guy.
He's representing the fat men well. Yes, that is 100% it. And his nickname is Big Sexy. How could you go wrong with that?
Fair.
It's like the best nickname in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but it's close.
Okay. I'm going to go to my pitcher. That is, since we're going nicknames here, here's one of the most iconic pitching nicknames, and that is El Duque.
Oh. Man.
Orlando Hernandez pitched mostly with the Yankees is what he's known for. He didn't have as long of a career as I thought. Yeah, he only pitched for 9 years, but he was...
That is kind of short. I thought it was a little longer than that, too.
I feel like he was pretty good most of his career. He had a couple bad years.
I just said Bartolo Cologne had like one of the best nicknames, and El Duque is like easily one of the best.
Dude, all right, so the reason that I liked him, it was actually between two guys for me who both have a very, very similar pitching delivery, like their windup.
Okay.
And it was Orlando Hernandez, El Duque, and Dontrelle Willis.
I loved Dontrelle Willis too.
Right?
I'm with you on that one.
And both
I loved
of them
his motion.
had the big step back, and then they had brought their leg up to like their head, and then delivered. I can't do it while I'm sitting
Juan
down,
Marichal had a motion very similar.
But I loved that, and I hated the Yankees, but I loved El Duque. He was one of my favorite players.
That's
Like,
a good one. I
growing
didn't
up,
even think of
loved
him because as soon as I thought starting pitcher, like the first person I thought of was Bartolo Cologne, and I was like, yeah, that's it.
See, my
that's a
first thought
great
was
one.
Randy Johnson, and then I was like,
So
I
if
feel like Randy Johnson's like too popular.
if I was gonna go, arguably one of the best pitchers all time, Randy Johnson was my one of my top like three.
To be fair, I do feel like it'd be fun as hell to watch Randy Johnson pitch. Like, I'm not like discrediting that.
So he played for the Diamondbacks, and I watched him shit on my Giants when he was in his prime, and then he pitched for the Giants for a couple years. So I definitely got to see him, and it was amazing. I'd love to see him again. I still don't know if I would if I would compare him to as fun as as it was to watch Bartolo Cologne.
Fair. But
That's a good one though, El Duque. That's a killer one.
It's kind of out of nowhere because like most people don't really think of him, but I remember growing up that I like emulated his pitching style for a while. Like I did the super high leg kick, like where my leg was up by my shoulder, and I love it.
Okay, so catcher. Who's your battery mate?
Okay. Catcher. Pudge Rodriguez.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I ain't even mad at that. I ain't even mad.
Real name for anybody who doesn't know is Ivan Rodriguez.
Honestly, you could literally just look up Pudge and
Yeah. I'm actually curious now. If I looked up Pudge, no. I was curious if on Baseball Reference, if I looked up Pudge Rodriguez, if he would show up, but no.
really didn't show up his nickname?
No, Ivan Rodriguez.
Damn, see, that's a shitty nickname. Because when I literally searched in Baseball Reference for Big Sexy, it popped up Bartolo Cologne.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, one of the best to ever do it, and he was fun as hell to watch. Like, serious. All right, 21 years in the league, 13 Gold Gloves, won a World Series, won an MVP, All-Star almost every year of his career, Silver Slugger. Like, the dude had literally everything, and was one of the best defensive catchers in baseball for the majority of his career.
it's not bad.
So, yeah, Pudge Rodriguez coming in at catcher.
All right, so
Also, he was one of my, could be argued as the best player at his position.
very much so. Very much so. Mine is a total... Thank you, baby. She's letting me know I only have 6 more.
Only 6 more.
I've already drank 6, and we're only an hour in.
Only.
So this is another homer choice, and he was actually only with the Giants for a couple years. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the years he was there or what, but I remember him as one of my favorite catchers to watch, and that's Benito Santiago.
Okay.
Stat-wise, he doesn't, like, jump off of the pages. He was a Rookie of the Year, 5-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove, which at catcher is pretty good, and a 4-time Silver Slugger. So, I mean, he was good. Definitely has enough to fill up the stat sheet, but, like, you look at his career batting average, he was only a .263 hitter. Didn't really light up the home runs, but watching him throw guys out, though, from his knees was nuts.
Yeah.
There's not many catchers in the league that I've watched that could literally just drop to their knees after catching a ball and gun someone. And I mean just nuke someone at second. And he did it on a regular basis. And anytime a player makes hard things look just effortless, it's something I enjoy watching, especially in baseball, because baseball is a lot harder of a sport than people realize.
Yes. Both mental and physically harder than people realize.
So Benito Santiago is who I've got rounding out my catcher spot.
Okay. All right. Well, if you would like to continue at first base, then.
Okay. So this is one that I actually got to see him, and I almost caught one of his home runs when I was younger. and I didn't think it was going to make it because I was in the upper deck, so I sat back down, and it made it just to our deck, and the guy in front of me dropped the ball.
Oh, no.
There's nothing you can do in baseball more than drop the ball off the second deck into the lower deck. And that's exactly...
true.
And he had a glove. He got booed. It was bad. I was like, fuck, I should have gone. And that's Frank Thomas.
Okay.
I'd love
Big Hurt.
the Big Hurt. So ironically, the first three guys on my list were gonna be Big Sexy. I was thinking of another first baseman, the Big Cat, Andres Galarraga.
Okay.
And then Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. I think I had a thing with Big for the first couple guys on my list. But Frank
Fair.
Thomas, he's an all-timer. I'd love to watch him play again.
Yeah, totally fair. All right. I had somebody here, but I think I'm going to change it, actually.
Oh, boo.
I wasn't 100% sold on this one. And then I was kind of just looking to see if I wanted any last minute changes. And so I'm going to switch from... I had Mark Teixeira.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Who was, honestly, before he went to New York, was one of the best first basemen in baseball.
I think for his career, I think he's actually a little bit underrated.
Agreed. His time when he was in Texas, he was incredible.
I think a lot of people forget about that, though.
Right. Because he was in New York for so long and kind of fell off real hard.
Yeah, that cliff was real for him at one point.
Yeah. But, so I'm going to switch off of him. He was actually one of, he wore the same number as I did, too, which was another reason I liked him.
Okay.
But I'm going to switch off of him and go to Fred McGriff.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I was looking through first baseman and I was like, oh shit, I totally forgot about him.
I like that. I saw him, but I ended up, like I said, I was between two, and I like that though. Fred McGriff, that's a good one.
His time with Atlanta, for whatever reason, when I was a kid, I loved the Braves. I was an Indians fan first, but the Braves were up there, just under the Indians for me.
You just loved all those inappropriate teams now, didn't you?
Okay. The Braves are not inappropriate. There's no, racial slur there.
I'm joking.
It's the same reason that, I know. Anyway. No, Fred McGriff was just fun to watch.
That's a good one.
He was really damn good, too. The dude could rake at the plate. And, fun to watch in the field, too. But,
that's a great one.
all right.
Those were two good ones. I didn't think of Teixeira, honestly. But you're 100% right. Early on, Teixeira was just insane.
Yeah, I can look up Teixeira really quick. His time in Texas, Rookie of the Year, he finished 5th. Finished in the top 5 in MVP voting twice. Won several Gold Gloves, several Silver Sluggers. Was an All-Star almost every year. Real good.
All right.
But, all right. Second base.
The best position in baseball. Sorry.
That's an inside joke there. Some news article said that second base was the best position in baseball. It's okay. Sure. Even though we both struggled to come up with the second baseman.
Well, I struggled because I didn't want to be a homer.
Fair.
And I'll get into that. But who do you have at second?
All right, so I picked Jackie Robinson.
Nice. It's a good pick.
You said it before the show, but I know we picked him. I think we both picked him.
I'm pretty sure.
Potentially. for the Field of Dreams team, but yeah, I mean, he would be so much fun to watch play baseball.
I mean,
especially in like a modern setting, to watch him play baseball in like a modern day, that would be so much fun.
Well, and the thing that makes me wonder is how great he would have been without all of the adversities he faced. Like all the stress that he had to go through with being, you know what I mean, the position he was in. How much better would he have been if he could have just focused on baseball and not had to deal with everything else that surrounded what he was doing?
That's totally fair. I never really thought about that. Because, yeah, I mean, statistically, he was great as a player. But, like, yeah, if you were to take away all the shit he had to deal with off the field, or, I mean, on the field.
Even on the field
like,
at that point.
Not baseball related, I guess, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
Because, like,
damn, that would be really interesting.
I imagine how much, and with all the other stuff, like, I think he would be unarguably the best second baseman to ever play the game if he played now. With his skill set, his ability, in the modern day, I mean, there's still a ton of racial stuff going on in the United States.
Right.
But it's not like it was when he was coming into the league being, you know.
Right.
So I think if you put him in now, I think he'd be the best second baseman you've ever seen.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't play, but I assume on the field, at the very least, it's pretty accepting of stuff.
I would imagine.
I mean, a huge portion of the league is not American, even. Like, let alone, like, not white. Like,
yeah.
Not even American. So I feel like it has to be
a little bit better of an environment.
It's obviously more accepting than it was then, but I mean, I feel like it's got to be accepting of everybody.
Yeah, but that's an angle I don't think a lot of people think about. Like, if you put him in modern day with the less stress, I think he'd be arguably the best second baseman ever to play. So that's a great pick.
You're right. It's not thought about because I've never thought about it, and I love Jackie Robinson. Like, he's one of my favorite players to ever look up anything about.
That's fair. All
right, so who's your second baseman?
All right, hold on. Let me finish pouring this real quick, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm reaching for another beer. That's fine.
Okay, I'll let that sit. So the guy I picked because I didn't want to.
Headset, so
yeah, the guy I picked.
Wait a second.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so the guy I picked is I didn't want to be a homer, so I'll tell you who I wanted to pick first, and that is Jeff Kent.
Okay.
He was a Giant for a few years. He was a Giant from 97 to 2002. Career batting average 290, almost 400 home runs, 377. Like, dude is an MVP, 5-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger. Definitely.
I didn't realize he hit that many home runs.
Yeah, dude. Jeff Kent was a beast.
I remember Jeff Kent, but I remember him being really good. I didn't remember him being a home run hitter like that.
Let me see. Let me check just real quick with the Giants. He hit 29, 31, 23, 33, 22, and 37 in the 4 years? 5 years he was a Giant. So he had almost like a quarter of his home runs as a Giant in 5 years.
Fun fact that I do not remember at all. Jeff Kent played for the Indians for half a year.
Yeah. Not long, but he was there.
I mean, I don't remember it at all. So.
But that's who I wanted to pick, but I didn't want my list to be too much of a homer. So my second guy is someone I don't think you will even remotely disagree with, and that's Roberto Alomar.
Yes.
And
the only reason I didn't pick him is because of the off the field shit that happened lately.
Wait, what? Did I miss that?
There was something. I'll look it up while you continue.
But yeah, Roberto Alomar is unreal. He played from 88 to 2004. This was the guy I think, like I said, was like one of the more recent guys that played. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's a 12-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ. What did we got? We got a 300 batting average. He didn't hit a lot of home runs, but almost 500
I mean,
stolen bases is unreal.
Back then, your middle infielders weren't home run hitters. Like as recently as like the early 2000s, like your middle infielders didn't hit home run.
That's fair, but then you look at Jeff Kent, who was hitting like 33 a year.
Oh, okay. I mean, there's exceptions, obviously, but like
but
on average.
But yeah, no, like Roberto Alomar, he played for Toronto, I think is where he's most known for playing for. Was it Cleveland?
I mean, he's most known for Toronto, but he played for Cleveland for like 5 years.
No, he only played in Cleveland for 3 years.
Really?
99 to 2001.
Okay. Imagine this. It was him and Omar Vasquel up the middle for the Indians.
Ooh.
Like, you couldn't hit a ball up the middle of the field without a double play happening.
Okay, well. Well, that being said.
Well, hold on. So just, I don't want to like ruin the mood here, but yeah. So Roberto Almar was a special assistant to the Blue Jays, and he got fired the beginning of this year, I think. When was this? April 30th. So yeah, right at the beginning of the year. He got like convicted of sexual harassment and fired from the team. And
I feel like we talked about that early too.
I think we did.
Holy shit! I can't believe I forgot about that.
It up.
I totally fucking forgot about that.
Doesn't take away from how good he was on the field, but
yeah,
might be not a great person.
Yeah, as a person, maybe not, but on the field, like if I'm watching just baseball, he would be one of the guys that I enjoyed watching. But like I said, I just didn't want to be too homer, so I didn't want to pick Jeff Kent.
No. Totally fair. Roberto Almar was incredible as a player.
But speaking of shortstop, let's go to the one guy that I guarantee we both have as shortstop.
We'll skip third base for now and go straight to shortstop.
We're just go shortstop. You
want
it? I'll let you do the honors.
Yeah, it's Omar Vasquel.
Yeah.
He played for both our teams, although he is much more known as an Indian than
I am claiming him. He is a giant.
No, you can't claim him. He is ours. He's literally in the Indians Hall of Fame.
So
he's
what?
He's not in the Giants Hall of Fame.
So if we put him in the Giants Hall of Fame, what does that mean?
You can't put him in there. He only played for you for 2.5 years, 3.5 years, whatever it was.
Yes, Omar Vasquel is my shortstop as well. He literally, I don't know if I've ever, like, there's guys like Jeter and stuff, but I don't know if I've ever watched anybody play that position and made everything look so effortless.
He played defense with a level, I hate to use the word because I hate the word, but he played defense with a level of swagger that nobody has ever played shortstop with. Or any position, arguably, defensively.
You're probably right on that. Like
that dude did things on the field that people wouldn't dare to do in warm-ups.
Bro,
he caught fly balls on the outside of his glove.
Bro, have you never played catch like that?
I have, not in a game.
I've done it. I've done it.
In the major
obviously
leagues,
not at that. Obviously not at that level. Catching a fly ball in the majors during a game on the outside of your glove, like, come on. A fly ball, no. But I have in game caught a ball on the outside of my glove to turn a play faster.
I mean, that's fair.
I mean, that is, and you know where I got it from? Watching that motherfucker. Because it is so much faster transition wise.
Yeah. Omar Vasquel, one of the best defensive players, not shortstops, but one of the best defensive players in the history of baseball, who is criminally underrated.
Normally, I wouldn't agree with stuff like that. Like when you say something like criminally underrated, that's kind of like a, what do you call like an over exaggeration of how you would.
I disagree.
But at the same, but no, but for him, I would agree with it because when you talk about like the best shortstops of all time, I would put him in that category. Maybe he didn't hit this as well as some of the other shortstops you could probably list, but defensively, I don't know if there's ever been somebody better than him at shortstop.
I mean, even offensively, he wasn't bad. He just didn't hit home runs.
Well, no, but
he wasn't an RBI guy. He didn't hit home runs, like.
But that's what I mean. Like, you could probably find a shortstop that had better offensive stats But when it
Yeah,
comes
of
to
course.
just all-around player and defensive prowess especially, like, there is nobody that's even close, in my opinion. At least that I can think of.
The dude won 10 straight gold gloves at shortstop. 10 straight
Straight.
years. Yeah. Not 10 years out of his 24-year career. 10 straight.
Yeah, and this is me as a Giants fan who has Brandon Crawford, who is criminally underrated as a defensive shortstop.
That's fair.
Who is in his category. He makes things look effortless.
Yeah.
And it's unreal. I mean, he's not nearly as good. I mean, I would put him maybe not far off, but not in that category.
I'll say this. I haven't seen another player. Omar Vasquel broke into the league in 89. 90 was like his first full year. I haven't seen a player since then who has been as good defensively as Omar Vasquel. And that's literally pretty much my entire life.
People would argue Jeter, because Jeter was a really good defensive shortstop.
I think Jeter is more known as a great player offensively. Like, I'm not saying he was a bad defensive player.
I'm gonna
he's a guaranteed Hall of Famer, and he should be. But I think Omar Vasquel is significantly better than Jeter defensively.
I'm going to say this, and it's maybe going to anger some people, but I think Jeter is kind of overrated.
Agreed.
Not that I don't think he was a great player and worthy of a first ballot Hall of Fame, which is what he's going to get.
Yes.
But
I think that's like next year. I think he's on the ballot.
That wouldn't surprise me because he retired a few years ago. I think it's like, 5 or 10 years for players?
I think it's 7.
Yeah. Which I think he deserves 100%, but I think people romanticize Jeter a little more than what he was.
Oh, wait, hold on. Now I'm confused. This says he was eligible last year.
There's no way he was eligible and didn't make it.
Wait, did he make it and we just both don't remember?
Hold on. No way.
Oh, wait. Derek Jeter, 2021 Hall of Fame induction.
Oh, so he got inducted this year, which is why,
So he was eligible last year, which means he got voted in, and then his induction was this year.
Okay.
I think is how it works.
But yeah, I mean, like, Derek Jeter career batting average is 310. There's not many guys in the league that have ever had that as their career batting average.
Yeah.
So like I said, I don't think Derek Jeter is like a bad player by any stretch. I think he's 100% deserving of the praise he gets, but I do think he's a touch overrated.
Yeah, a huge part of that is the whole like Yankees captain thing.
Yeah. But I do love Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter of all the Yankees is probably one of my favorite Yankees all time.
Yeah. And that's, yes, I agree. And that's coming from somebody who hates the Yankees. But yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to third base now.
Okay.
I'll start third base. Yeah, I'll start third base. So mine is totally a homer. It's not a Giant, though. Not a Giant. It's an A. And I say that because the A's and Giants are literally like 30 minutes apart, so it's still a homer pick. And that's Eric Chavez.
Okay.
And stat-wise, this dude doesn't really stick out. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer. He's not anything spectacular. But, and he played till 2014. I actually didn't realize he played that late, to be completely honest. But he played pretty much all of his career in Oakland, except for the last like 3 or 4 years of his 13-year career. Or of his, 17-year career. He played 13 of his 17 years in Oakland. I got to watch him play in and out. I played third base in Little League, Pony, high school. Who did I emulate? This guy. He was one of the best third basemen at the time. And I mean, honestly, in 13 years, he had 260 home runs. Oh, not terrible. His batting average was what you'd expect for a middle, or for like a third baseman. Like 268, 270.
Yeah.
not crazy, but and like I said, this is just someone who I grew up watching, so I'd love to watch him play again. In his prime, I think Eric Chavez was one of the better third basemen in the league.
Yeah, that's fair. Just didn't last very long.
No, like his peak was only like 2 years.
Right.
Of the 13 years, he like had a 2-year peak, and that was about it. He wasn't good for long, but like I said, this is more of just a nostalgia homer pick because that's who I grew up watching in the late 90s when I was like 10, 12.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, that's who I want to be, is that guy right there. Like
Fair
before my house fire and I lost pretty much everything, one of my prized possessions was a diving, like literally like outstretched diving Eric Chavez statue that I got at an A's game as like a one of the giveaways.
Nice.
And I had it up until I was like in my early to mid 20s before my house fire happened. And I got that when I was maybe 13, 14. So, like I said, that's a homer pick, and it's not a spectacular pick, but Eric Chavez is my guy.
That's totally fair. All right, so mine. Let me see. All right, I'm going to see if you can figure out who it is by the nickname here, because we'll just stick with the nicknames that we've been going with.
But okay, let's go.
I feel like you'll get this one. At third base, the Iron Man.
Cal Ripken? No.
Yeah.
Was it Cal Ripken?
Yeah.
Was he a third baseman? I thought he was a shortstop.
No, Cal Ripken was the third baseman.
I love Cal Ripken.
Yeah. Yeah. Cal Ripken, known as the Iron Man because the dude literally didn't miss a game.
Yeah, like literally didn't miss a game for like 20 years.
I'm gonna try to look.
It was like 1,600 and something games
Cal
that he hit in a row. His record is one of the few sports records that I think will literally never be touched.
Yeah. 2,632 consecutive games without missing a single game.
So wait, hold on. I'm gonna grab my phone real quick, and I don't do this often, but so it's how much was it?
2,632.
32 divided by 162. That's over 16 seasons that he did not miss a game.
Yep. The dude played 21 years. Well, 20 years because the first year doesn't really count because he only played 23 games.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't count.
20 years. He was an all-star 19 of those 20 years. And the only one he didn't get was his rookie year when he won Rookie of the Year and didn't somehow get the all-star get an all-star ballot.
It also depends on when you get hot, though, as a rookie, though. Like, if you get hot towards the end of the year, then you're not going to get Rookie of the Year.
But yeah, 2-time MVP, 19-time all-star, won Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers, won a World Series. Like,
that's insane.
It's insane. The dude is a monster.
Cal Ripken is another, like Omar Vasquel, another one of the most criminally underrated players of all time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like kind of the same as Omar, like not a hugely great offensive player, really good defensively, solid offense. Was never like I guess he's not a terrible home run hitter. He averaged 23 home runs a year. But
that's actually not bad for a third baseman.
No. But his best year was his second full year in the league. He hit 47.
Jesus.
He led the league. That was the year he won MVP. One of the years he won MVP. He led the league in games played, obviously. Plate appearances, at-bats, runs scored, hits, doubles.
So he basically led everything.
Yeah, every statistical category.
That's insane.
Except home runs.
That's a great one. I would have probably put him at third if my third base choice wasn't locked up instantly with Eric Chavez.
he was a shortstop early in his career, but he switched to third like halfway through his career.
Okay, I was gonna say I remember him more though as a shortstop.
I want to say he switched to shortstop probably mid 90s. Retired in 2001, so probably the last like 5, 6, 7 years of his career were third base, something like that.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, real good. Real good.
Real good, yeah. That's like I said, understatement.
Also, he was one of him and Jackie Robinson, who I didn't say were some of the players you could make an argument were some of the best at their position. Probably not Cal Ripken, like mostly just for the Iron Man thing.
He honestly, you could probably make a case for him to at the very least be top 3 all time at third base.
Yeah. But anyway.
Just thinking of like third basemen and like whatnot.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move to the outfield.
Who I don't think we're gonna have the same. I'm hoping we don't.
Okay, you want to start in left?
Yeah, we'll go left, center, right, and I'll let you go ahead and go first for the left.
Okay. So I cheated a little bit. You can call me out and tell me it doesn't count if you want to. So in left field, I have actually, you know what?
No, it's fine. I don't care. You can do outfield. I actually have left, center, right, but you can
This isn't even cheating. I'm gonna just switch them, and this isn't even cheating then because I forgot about this. All right, my left fielder, who played most of his career in center fielder but finished his career in left field, Kenny Lofton.
Ooh, that is a fucking great choice.
Long-time Indian. One of the greatest Indians of all time.
That is a fucking great choice.
Dude, in his final year of his career, he got traded back to the Indians at the All-Star break and helped us get deep into the playoffs. And it was so fucking cool because he hadn't been on the Indians in like
8 years or something like that
like
at that
8
point?
or 9 years, yeah. And like having him back on the field was so awesome. That's one of my favorite moments.
That's a fucking. I mean, I'll give it to you. He ended his career in left, but I remember Kenny Lofton more as a center fielder. But that's a fucking great choice. Yeah, I love
Kenny Lofton. Also played for the Giants.
He did. That's why I'm saying that's a fucking great choice.
No, he played for Cleveland the first 9 years of his career. One of the fan favorites in like legitimately, if you ask a ton of players who their favorite player is, I bet at least 30 to 40% will say Kenny Lofton. Like he is beloved in Cleveland.
That's a great choice.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely a homer pick, but also he was fun as hell to watch because if you watched him in center field, that dude was incredible. He was so fast.
Unreal. I love that pick, honestly. Dude, genuinely love that pick.
Didn't actually know this. His first through 5th year in the league, he led the league in stolen bases all 5 of those years.
Good shit. I love fast guys. I love guys who steal bases.
75 stolen bases in his 5th year in the league.
Fuck. That's like 2 or 3 years of people now.
Stealing 17 times, but...
Fuck it. That's not even that bad.
That's still not bad. But anyway.
Okay, so mine's a total homer. Can you guess who? I give you one guess who I put in left field.
Barry Bonds.
Yeah, Barry Bonds, baby.
It took me a second because, like, I never think of Barry Bonds as a fielder.
Yeah, but the sad part, okay, I'm going to look it up real quick because I know I've said this a ton of times. I've gone over his stats and pleaded for you to just agree with me that he is great. Barry,
his stats are great. But he cheated.
8-time Gold Glove. You can say what you want about his hitting stats.
Oh, I know.
8-time Gold Glove winner. Like, he was an incredible defensive fielder. In his 22 years. The motherfucker played forever, too.
Right.
And he had a 298 batting average after 22 years.
Yeah.
Like, Barry Bonds, I would argue, is one of the best left fielders to ever play the game. But then again, I will admit, I know you hate Barry Bonds. I know you hate him.
I don't hate him. I just don't think he deserves recognition.
I don't think
as a cheater.
I don't think if he was cheating, which I think anybody with sense kind of knows he was. Even though he
I don't think there's
caught.
an if there.
No, there is an if because he never got caught. Now, do I think even as a Giants fan, do I think there was something going on? Yeah, I 100% do. But
you don't put on 100 pounds of muscle in a year.
Oh, he didn't put on 100 pounds of muscle.
I'm exaggerating, obviously, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree, especially like in your late 30s, because I think he did it in like his year 30. I think he was like 38 when that happened too.
That sounds right.
It was nuts. But Barry Bonds, we both agree. I know we both agree on this. He's the most feared hitter to ever play the game.
Of course.
But I would argue that defensively, he was one of the best left fielders to ever play the game too.
Early in his career, for sure.
Career. For sure, early in his career, which is when he won most of his Gold Gloves.
By the end, they were like, "Where can we hide this guy?"
Yeah, we just
away from the ball.
that was one of those like. National League needs a DH because he could have extended his career probably another 5 to 10 years if there was a DH in National League. Yeah, if he would have just DH'd. But he didn't want to. He wanted to play the field. He wanted to play baseball.
Yeah.
But Barry Bonds is my left fielder. I know it's a super homer pick, and it's a little controversial because, like I said, some people don't like him because of the cheating stuff that surrounds him. I don't care. Maybe it's just a homer in me. I grew up watching this dude just hit bomb after bomb after bomb, and it was fucking fun to watch.
Fair. All right. Going on to center field.
I don't think you'll have my center fielder.
Go for it.
So my center fielder is Ichiro Suzuki.
Okay. I didn't have Ichiro.
The slap hit extraordinaire.
Also, just because I've watched him more in the back half of his career, I think of Ichiro as a right fielder, but
oh, really?
Totally fair.
I think of him as
he was a center fielder.
He was more of a center fielder to me. I loved Ichiro. I mean, I don't think anybody that watched him play didn't love him. I think he would be the all-time hits leader if he never played in Japan and played only in the MLB.
Yeah. I don't know. How long did he... all right, so he was 27 when he first got into the MLB.
He played 19 years in MLB.
Yeah.
If you now add like another 3 years to that, and because he's already at over 3,000 hits.
Can we just say how criminal it is that he didn't get an All-Star appearance after 2010? What the hell?
Wait, he didn't get it in 2010?
2010 was his last All-Star appearance. He didn't have one from 2011 to 2019.
Okay, that's criminal. Like literally, like that's like the definition of criminal.
Like the dude batted almost 300.
272, 283, 322. He had a year. I mean, granted, he only played 60. Yeah, it was like half a year.
He got traded to the Yankees that year. That's his time with the Yankees.
But if you look down with Miami, 318 in 2017.
You're looking at on-base percentage.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Even like the year he batted 291, like for his final year, just throw him in the All-Star game just as like recognition for what he's done for the game.
Ichiro Suzuki is another one of those guys like Omar Vasquel who is given a lot of recognition, I think, but is still criminally underrated.
Yes.
Like Ichiro Suzuki is arguably one of the best hitters all time. Just for like sheer hits. I'm not talking like power hitters or like anything. I'm talking just like his ability to get on base.
Yeah.
Was damn near second to none.
So he played 9 years in Japan before he came to the majors. Bro, he played from the day he turned 18.
Imagine
he played 28 seasons of baseball.
Bro, imagine another Ichiro in the MLB for another like 6 years. even.
Yeah.
He has 3,500 hits. Easy. You don't think if you add another, 5 years to his thing, he's going to get 100 hits a year? Of course.
I'm just looking.
Dude had almost 10,000 at-bats and has 3,000 hits.
Now, again, I don't know what the Japanese league is like, but in 130 games in 1994 for Orix Japan, in 130 games, he had 210 hits.
That means he's going 2 for 3 every game.
Yeah. All right. So his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in Japan. 210, 179, 193, 185, 181, 141, 153. Those are all in 135 games or less. So he basically averaged more than a hit a game every single year in Japan.
So his first 10 years in the MLB, he didn't have less than 200 hits.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Oh, no, you're right.
No, yeah. His lowest was 206 in 2005.
Yeah.
That's insane. His highest was 262 in 161 games. Yeah. That means he almost got, that's literally almost the same ratio of 2 for 3. That's insane.
Yeah, the dude's a monster. He's incredible.
Dude, his batting average that year was 372? No way. 372.
I remember that because there were talks of him hitting 400 and challenging the record.
That's what I'm saying. This is why I think Ichiro is one of the best hitters all time.
Yes. Totally agree.
And I think he would pass Pete Rose for the most hits all time if he had played more in the MLB and a little less in Japan.
Yes. Agreed.
I honestly, even at this point, wouldn't mind considering him the all-time hits leader because of what he did in Japan, too. I know that you can't cross stats, but whatever. So, he easily would have beat Pete Rose. Easily.
Yeah. 100%.
All right, so on to your center fielder. We've talked about mine enough. Although I think that was a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, I mean, it is and it isn't because, Ichiro is incredible. But, yeah, you're right that, honestly, for whatever reason, I didn't even think of him.
Well, and his little slap hits is so fun to watch.
Part of the reason that I didn't think of him is that my center field choice was a no-brainer for me.
Oh, God, who'd you
pick? That is because I picked Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, come on.
I must say this, and I don't want to be criticized. Anybody who's watching, please don't judge me. He did not even cross my mind.
Wow. Honestly, the reason nobody else crossed my mind is because that was an instant no-brainer. Ken Griffey Jr. is my center fielder. Not even a question.
It was the same thing for me for Ichiro. I saw Ichiro, I was like, oh yeah, that's it. Boom. I want to see that slap hit all day. Oh, that's tough. That's a great one because I probably would have. That would have been a 20-minute battle in my head between Ichiro and Ken Griffey Jr. Because if you're talking power hitting, you're right. Ken Griffey Jr. was the most pure swing, the most beautiful. I still think to this day, Ken Griffey Jr. in his prime, I don't think there's ever been a swing in baseball that has ever looked that good.
Yeah, the biggest issue with him was once he got to the middle to later half of his career, he just struggled with injuries so much that he just couldn't do it.
If he doesn't get injured, and as much as I am a Giants homer, and I love Barry Bonds, and I think he deserves a hell of a lot more credit than he's given, I think Ken Griffey Jr. would have passed Bonds in almost everything. If Ken Griffey Jr. could have stayed healthy. I actually was just at the store. I'm looking for some new kicks, and me and the wife are both looking for some new kicks. So we went to the mall the other day, and we were just kind of. There was a pair of Nikes that was like the Ken Griffey. Do you remember them? The Ken Griffey Jr. Nikes. They were basically like his cleats, but made into like sneakers.
Yeah.
They had those at the store, but they were like $150, and I was like, I'm not paying $150 for some sneakers.
No.
but I saw them, but they were the OG like turquoise, like Seattle turquoise, like colorway and everything, and I was like, fuck, that's super tempting. And my wife was looking at me like, what? And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, these are literally what Ken Griffey Jr.'s cleats looked like, with just a sneaker like bottom on it, without the cleat bottom.
Right.
And
Yeah, they were cool.
Which is kind of funny and ironic that I didn't even think of him because of Ichiro, considering I just saw his shoes literally a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah. He's awesome.
Fucking
I love Griffey.
fantastic. I love that one. That's a good one.
I mean, not to mention the fact that pretty much everybody emulated like Griffey's batting stance at some point when they were a kid playing like wiffle ball or whatever.
I didn't, but that's because I had Bonds.
Well, okay, that's fair.
And I'm not saying I wouldn't. I mean, I'm sure I did at one point, but mostly I emulated Bonds, even though I was a right-handed hitter. I just loved the little swag.
Oh, I mean, Griffey was a lefty too, so I adapted it to the right side, but...
All right. On to our second to last position we're going to talk about. Right field.
Okay. All right, right field is my other player who I'm pretty sure I had on my Field of Dreams list. The second of those, the first being Jackie Robinson, and that is Roberto Clemente.
Oh, solid pick.
Like, I mean, died way before his time and like was still in the league when he died, but he just like watching video of him playing, like he was basically Ichiro before Ichiro. Like he did slap hit, he did like, kind of irritate pitchers and get like weird leadoffs. Like
not even wrong with that.
It was, I mean, they had very similar batting styles, except Clemente was a righty, I believe, but very similar, like, slap hitter. And I mean, that wasn't uncommon back then either, to be fair. Like, it wasn't like he was unique, but, yeah, just a lot of fun to watch. Like, if you can go on YouTube and search up, like, Roberto Clemente, like, highlights or clips or whatever, there's not a ton of them, but they're fun to watch.
That's a great pick. I like that pick.
And just one of the best people, like, ever.
Arguably
like,
one of the best, like, as far as, like, people goes, probably one of the best baseball players ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, literally died to give humanitarian aid to a foreign country, like.
100%. I think he was on my list for the Field of Dreams team.
Might have been.
All right, so this one's a little tough because I picked someone who literally retired last year.
Okay.
And that's Hunter Pence. It's another Giants homer pick.
That's fair.
The other guy I was thinking of was Eric Burns, who you might not even remember, but he played for the A's for a little bit.
I remember the name, but I don't.
He played for the A's. He played for the Diamondbacks, I think, for a handful of years. I went with Hunter Pence because there's very few guys that I have actually watched that I have enjoyed watching that were just so quirky and just enjoyed the game more than him.
Yeah.
And
so
I enjoy that. And honestly, his stats are pretty fucking solid to begin.
Yeah. He was a good player.
Yeah.
The reason that I love Hunter Pence, for anybody who doesn't know, like, we both stream and we're big gamers. Hunter Pence is a huge fucking nerd.
Fucking nerd, bro.
And like, so we both, I'm pretty sure, at least, I know you have, I don't know how much you watch him, but like, Kind of Funny, who is a gaming company. They do whatever, daily game news and podcasts and stuff. He's been on their content like a bunch, like multiple times, and like he just loves video games and stuff. And like that's like I knew Hunter Pence the player, but like I never, being on the East Coast, like I never saw interviews with him and stuff. So like seeing him in that environment was like cool as hell.
Dude's a little weird, but I fucking love him.
Yeah.
He's done a couple computer giveaways actually on his like Twitter and Instagram of like gaming computers and shit. It's fucking killer. Nice. I love Hunter Pence, and he played with this like all-out mentality.
Yeah.
It's the same with Eric Burns. Eric Burns played for the A's, and he literally ran through a wall to catch a ball. Like literally, there's video of him running through a wall to catch a ball.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of effort is just fun to watch. And Eric Burns would be my number 2 on this list, or like a 1A, I would say. But Hunter Pence is by far my favorite right fielder.
Okay. I mean, that's totally fair. I mean, with you, like, that being, like, your main time growing up watching baseball, I'm sure, and watching Hunter Pence and all those World Series teams.
I mean,
like,
to be fair,
I know that was like after you got into baseball, but
that was way after I got into baseball because Hunter Pence didn't come to the Giants until 2012. That's
when the Giants got like really good.
I mean, 2012 was only like 9 years ago. I mean, I don't feel like I'm old, but I'm not that young.
No, I know. But, all right. So let's move on to our closer.
Okay, yeah. What? Closer. I'm pretty sure we have the same closer.
I would assume. All right, so I'm just going to say his nickname, and you tell me if it's the same guy. All right, the Sandman.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This is the best best closer.
Mariana Rivera.
Yeah, the best closer to ever play the game.
Yes. Not even close to a question. Yeah. There's nobody who's been even close to as good as he is.
So why did you like him? Because I know why I loved Mariano Rivera.
I mean, it really was just the domination mixed with the fact that he only basically threw one pitch.
So that is why I love him, because you knew what was coming, and you still couldn't hit it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That to me, as a pitcher, there's nothing scarier as a hitter than knowing what's coming and just knowing that there's nothing you can fucking do about it.
Right.
And I'm not saying Mariano Rivera is perfect. He did give up some blown saves. He did give up. I mean, I think he pitched like 21 years.
19.
19. Okay. So I was a little off, but like you knew what was coming. And so inevitably in 19 years, you're going to get God of every once in a while. It's just going to happen. But
the dude has 80 blown saves. So about 4 a year. 4.5 a year.
That's insane to think about. Just like 4 a year.
Yeah.
Like just 4. Like that's it.
652 saves. For a save percentage of 89.1%.
That's insane. That means basically 9 out of 10 times you put him out there, he's going to win you the game.
Honestly, when you say it like that, it kind of sounds low for him.
Really? I think 9 out of 10 times is insane.
Yeah, but think about it this way. 1 out of every 10 saves, he blew it? That seems high.
When the best players in the world should see 3 out of 10 times? Yeah, when only one?
I'm not taking it back. Mariano Rivera is the greatest to ever do it.
I'm just saying.
And is probably my favorite Yankee of all time. But yeah,
that I've watched, my favorite Yankee, I think Jeter would probably be my second, just because I liked his athleticism. But I would agree, he's probably my favorite Yankee to have watched, because when he comes in, it's just game over.
Yeah, just watching the domination is just, it's fun.
So my secondary pick here, was just fun to watch, was Eric Gagne.
The big old glasses.
Big old glasses, and the fact that he like turned halfway around every time he fucking pitched. Like, he was just fun to watch. Now he beat the shit out of my Giants,
Yeah.
but being a Dodger. But at the same
Was he
time,
a Dodger his whole career?
I don't think he was a Dodger his whole career. Let me look it up real quick.
I got it. It's no. He actually didn't pitch very long. He only pitched 10 years.
But he was nuts. Absolutely
He
nuts.
pitched 7 years with the Dodgers and then 2 years with Texas, Boston, and Milwaukee.
Okay. When you talk about like, so when I think it was like a month or two ago, we talked about like what our criteria was for Hall of Fame, and how we talked about like longevity over dominance.
Yeah.
When he was at his peak, I don't know if there was ever, even Mariana Rivera, I don't know if there's ever been a more dominant closer.
Yeah.
Because like, don't get me wrong, what's up?
That I didn't know. Eric Gagne in 2003 won the Cy Young as a closer,
That's insane.
and he finished 6th in MVP voting as a closing pitcher. The dude only played in 82 innings and was the 6th MVP voter, or MVP in the voting.
But that's what I mean. When if you took just like sheer peak over longevity, or like you know at all, like I think Gagne would arguably be the best closer, like most dominant closer, I should say, of all time.
Yeah.
Because when he was in his prime, he was absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. He actually has a better save percentage than Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, but Mariano Rivera did it for literally like twice as long.
Of course.
So all those extra attempts, you're gonna blow a few more saves.
Right. He only blew 17 saves in 10 years. just to throw it out there, less than 2 a year.
That's
And there was 1 year in 2007 where he blew 3 saves and got 0.
And he was kind of fun to watch though too, because his motion was weird.
Yeah. Yeah. He had a very old school, like Japanese style motion where he picked up his leg.
Yeah,
and
he spun like all the way, almost like a Johnny Cueto does right now. Like he spins kind of like all the way around, and would pause there for a second almost.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that
no,
would
he
be
was
my
fun to
like
watch.
1A for closer, since we both picked Mariano Rivera.
That's fair.
Oh man.
That was good because I actually kind of like that we only had, well, I guess two similar, two in common.
But to be fair, if
Pen pick.
I'll be fair though, I'll be honest. If Omar Vasquel never played for the Giants, he probably wouldn't be on my list.
Fair.
Because, like we both have said, he's criminally underrated at shortstop, and I don't think I would have ever put him there.
He's been very much struggling. He's borderline Hall of Famer, and he's been in the voting last 4 years, I believe, and he's like gotten a bunch of votes, but has not gotten in.
The fact that he's borderline and hasn't gotten in is a travesty. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I
I
don't.
feel like a very large part of that is you have modern day writers voting on historic players.
That's
So you have guys, you have writers, and there's old heads in writers that get all-star votes, but you have guys voting for Hall of Fame, not all-star. You have guys voting on Hall of Fame that are like, well, the dude only hit like 4 home runs a year. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's not what his game was.
He's like the best defensive shortstop to literally borderline ever play the game.
Right.
Like, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, not many people can win 10 straight Gold Gloves.
Okay, I'm gonna go off on a tangent here since our lists are done. I think modern baseball is fucked because there's too much of a focus on one side of the game.
Yes.
And I don't think a lot of people would even disagree with me on that.
We've talked about it several times how like the fundamentals of baseball have kind of disappeared. There is no bunting. There's no small ball. There's, if you come up with a guy on second, no outs, you're not trying to bunt him over. You're trying to hit a home run.
But at the same time, I'm not even talking just that. I'm talking like all anybody cares about is RBIs, whatever. No one really thinks about like runs saved and some of the defensive statistics that you would see, which now we can measure. Back then, you couldn't necessarily measure. Mid 90s, you couldn't quite measure all the stuff you can these days. They figured out formulas and all that shit for it. Stuff that is for people much smarter than me to figure out. But defensively, I think in this modern game, if you don't hit home runs and you don't have a insanely high batting average, I'm talking like 310, 320, people don't talk about you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are defensively.
I mean, we kind of talked about it with Michael Brantley I forget what list we were doing that I brought him up. But you were like, man, I don't even like know. You knew who he was, but you don't like think about him.
Yeah.
And the dude's hit 300 almost every year for the past like 10 years.
Even
like,
still, like
one of the best hitters in baseball, but he only hits like 15 to 20 home runs, so nobody talks about him there. And he's not leading the league in batting average, so nobody talks about him there. And he just.
But I feel like that's the baseball we're in right now, where I feel like in the 90s and even early 2000s, people appreciated the defensive side a little bit more.
Yes.
Whereas now it's just all like who can hit home runs. And as a fan, it's getting a little boring. But at the same time, like, I fucking love when someone goes yard.
Right, of course. I mean, that's why the game has shifted that way, because it's fun to watch.
And my team is one of the best at hitting home runs, so.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just saying. Just saying.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. But.
They hit 4 home runs the other day. I don't know where they're at right now. They were playing when we started the podcast. They were winning 3-0 in the bottom of the second. Like, they're going absolutely ham right now. Although they've been doing that all season. Fun fact, the Giants were the first team to 50 wins, the first team to 60 wins, the first team to 70 wins, and the first team to 80 wins.
They've been the best record in baseball for
3 months.
3 months, something like that.
Absolutely
insane.
It's been
a while.
I'm a homer for a minute. I can't believe how good the Giants have been. Like, legitimately. I have not been to a single game this year, and part of me is like, fuck, do I not go? Because, like, they're playing good. Like, I'm going to go and they're going to fucking lose.
That's not just a homer in you. That's all of anybody who watches baseball is surprised by the Giants.
Well, yes, but
there isn't a single person who...
My thing, though, is, like, I really want to go to games. And I'm like, well, fuck, like, they're winning. Like, do I go to games or do I just, like, sit at home and they just fucking...
I mean, we've talked about that before. The superstition of baseball players. Like,
I feel like every time I watch a game, they lose or they at least struggle to win. And I'm like, man, do I just like hang out and just look at the stats and double check and make sure everything's good? Or do I go to a couple games?
Yeah.
I do. I have money put away. Well, I don't know if the wife knows this, but we have money put away. We are going to a playoff game this year. I said at the beginning of the year, if the Giants make the playoffs, I will 100% go to a playoff game no matter what the cost.
Yeah.
And that will happen. I will be a man of my word on that, which is going to fucking suck because they're probably going to be like $1,500 for tickets.
That's a lot of money.
The Giants tickets are never cheap. Maybe if I go early, it'll be cheap. But the problem is if I go early, they're going to be playing the fucking Dodgers in the first round. Those tickets are going to be a fortune.
Yeah.
Either way, even if they don't win the division, the chances are they're going to win the wild card. And they're going to be playing the Dodgers who win the division for the first fucking spot.
Right.
So even the first series, which is typically the cheapest series to go to, is going to cost a fucking fortune.
Just throwing it out there. You're assuming the Dodgers win the wild card. What if the Dodgers lose in the wild card game to... I don't even know who the second wild card is.
Who is it right now? Because it was the Padres for a long time.
It might still be, honestly.
No, it's not the... It's definitely not.
Okay, so this would have Cincinnati is the second wild card right now.
Ooh, ooh.
And they are 2.5 games ahead of the the Padres. 3 game or no. Yeah, it's basically gonna be Cincinnati or San Diego. There's not really another option.
So it's going to be Cincinnati versus whoever in the wild card, whether that's the Giants or the Dodgers. I would bet that the Giants or the Dodgers beat Cincinnati, although Cincinnati is fucking solid as fuck.
Look, this is my problem with the wild card, is that the best team does not always win the wild
And
card.
I love that.
It's a
And
one-game series. I hate it.
I love that. And we've argued this many times on and off stream.
I hate it.
I love it. I mean, I hate it when you lose because, like, the Warriors this year for the play-in games.
Well, those are fucking dumb as hell. There's already too many teams in the NBA playoffs.
Did you see how the playoffs went this last year, though? The Warriors were the 8th seed, and they didn't even make the playoffs because they lost the two, like, play-in games or whatever, which is dumb because if that had never happened, they would have been in the playoffs. And I vouched for those games, and I was like, no, I love this shit. And they fucking lost, and I ate my words, which is fine. It is what it is, you know? That happens. But that's what makes it fun.
Without getting into it too much for the NBA already had too many teams in the playoffs. And now that they're doing these play-ins, it's fucking dumb.
I agree. It's like
if you count those as playoff games, then like 2/3 of the league gets in the playoffs. It's so dumb.
I don't disagree with you on that. It is kind of a bit absurd. There's a lot of fucking teams.
Like it was already over half the NBA got into the playoffs, and now it's even more.
But the Warriors got bounced because of it, and you even joked with me like, "Hey, how much you liking that now?" Like, well, I was like, "Fuck you." But and if the Giants end up not winning their division, which I think if they just keep doing what they're doing, they should be okay.
Yeah.
But if they happen to lose to the Dodgers, whatever, I think they're still winning that one-game playoff.
I mean, yeah, on paper they should.
Well, I mean, technically on paper, I would almost say they shouldn't. You got Castellanos and some of these guys for Cincinnati that are fucking studs.
Well, right, but based on the stats from both teams this season, they should win.
So, yeah. So, I would imagine that it's going to be Giants-Dodgers first fucking series for the National League, which I think is almost a travesty. But we can get into that here in a little bit. Anything you want to throw on your favorite players? Any honorable mentions you want to throw out there?
The only one I had that I didn't mention already was if you gave me shit for Kenny Lofton and left, I was gonna put Willie Stargell in there.
Oh, how would you think I would give you shit for Kenny Lofton? Kenny Lofton's a G.
Because he wasn't really a left fielder. I mean, like, let's be real. He played left field the last like 2 years of his career.
Okay, but I'm all about getting as many players as we can on these lists, especially good players. So I loved Kenny Lofton. So I mean,
yeah,
I ain't mad at that. Because I would have given you shit for Willie Stargell, because that was another one of those fucking couple weeks ago on the.
Well, okay, that
fair, was.
but...
I mean, he might not have been on your list, but I think he was on my list for my Field of Dreams team.
But yeah, so that was my only like honorable mention that I didn't say.
I don't think I had any other honorable mentions that I hadn't already kind of thrown out there. I tried to throw them out when I was talking about that position. But we're gonna end this episode here, guys. Thanks everyone for watching or listening. If you're watching live on twitch.tv/Bases we really appreciate you. If you want to check out an old episode, we have all of our older episodes on our Twitch, on our YouTube at Bases and Brews. Just search up Bases and Brews podcast, and you'll be able to find all 24 of our previous episodes. Fuck, it's crazy to think there's that many.
I know. Quarter of the way to 100.
Bro, did you think we'd get this far in? Like,
I mean, I hoped.
to be honest, like, I mean, yeah.
No, the last podcast I tried to do, I got to like 12.
And they're all up on YouTube. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
But if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on any of the various podcast services and you want to kind of hang out and check us live and interact with us, We do this. We record it live every Friday. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Bases and Brews. No spaces. We'd love to have you come in and kind of give us your opinion on whatever's going on. If you have any ideas, let us know in the comments. If you think our all-time favorites are a little off, if there's someone you think that we should think about or we should talk about, throw it in the comments. But other than that, everyone, have a great week, and we will catch you all next week for another episode of Bases and Brews.
Later.